For over a century, they've been dismissed as an evolutionary joke. But the bones of Tyrannosaurus rex tell a different story. A story of immense, concentrated strength. Join us as we investigate the greatest paradox in prehistory.
The air hangs thick and heavy, smelling of damp earth, rotting wood, and the sweet perfume of giant, primitive flowers. A canopy of colossal ferns and conifers blots out the sun, dappling the forest floor in an emerald twilight. You feel a vibration before you hear it. A deep, rhythmic thudding that travels from the soles of your feet up into your chest. Then, the sound arrives. The snapping of giant branches, the crash of a tree giving way. A shadow, immense and absolute, falls over you. Ever wonder what it truly felt like to stand in the shadow of a living giant? Let us know in the comments where you're watching from and which incredible prehistoric creature captures your imagination the most. Now, let's journey back in time and uncover the story of a lost world. You are in the late Cretaceous, around 66 million years ago, in the lush, humid floodplains of what will one day become Western North America. And the creature emerging from the tree line is the undisputed monarch of this lost world. Its name is a perfect summary of its existence: Tyrannosaurus rex, the tyrant lizard king. It stands 2 stories high at the hips, a 9-ton mountain of muscle and bone. Its legs are pillars of power, capable of covering vast distances with earth-shaking strides. But your gaze is drawn upward, to its head. The skull alone is the size of an armchair, a 5-foot-long instrument of absolute destruction. Its jaws are not merely for cutting, they are a biological hydraulic press, capable of generating a bite force that could shatter bone as easily as you might snap a twig. Its teeth, thick as railroad spikes, are not blades, but daggers, designed to puncture deep and pulverize whatever they held. In comparison, the bite of a great
Baffled scientists for over a century. Why would an animal of such terrifying proportions, a creature built for overwhelming force, possess such tiny, seemingly useless appendages? Were they a mistake? A leftover from a long-forgotten ancestor? Or did they hold a secret purpose we are only now beginning to understand? This is the great puzzle of the Tyrant King. The most straightforward answer to this puzzle, and the one that held sway for many years, is that the arms were simply an evolutionary afterthought. They are what's known as vestigial structures, remnants of an ancestral past that are slowly disappearing because they no longer serve a purpose. You can see this throughout the natural world, from the tiny leg bones buried deep inside the body of a whale to the appendix in your own abdomen. The logic is compelling. As the ancestors of Tyrannosaurus grew larger over millions of years, their heads and jaws became ever more dominant. They evolved into the ultimate weapon, a biological wrecking ball. With a mouth that could dispatch prey so efficiently, what need was there for long, grasping arms? Evolution is famously economical. It doesn't waste energy on features that aren't paying their rent. And so, the story went, the arms just shrank, fading into the background as the skull took center stage. It's a neat and tidy explanation, but the fossil record, as it so often does, presents a complication. When scientists began to analyze the arm bones of T-Rex in detail, they discovered something that challenged the entire useless leftover idea. The bones themselves weren't delicate or frail. They were thick, dense, and clearly built to withstand enormous stress. Even more telling were the attachment points for muscles. The humerus, the upper arm bone, possessed massive crests and roughened patches where powerful muscles would have anchored. These are not the hallmarks of a limb that is withering away. They are the signature of a limb that was actively and powerfully used. Biomechanical studies have estimated that the bicep of a T-Rex alone could have lifted over 400 pounds. That's more than 3 times what a well-conditioned human athlete can manage. While the arm's range of motion was limited, the force it could exert within that range was immense. Suddenly, the paradox deepens. Nature wouldn't maintain such metabolically expensive muscle tissue for a body part that did nothing. The Tyrant King wasn't just carrying around 2 useless ornaments, it was supporting 2 incredibly strong, albeit very short, bundles of power. The evidence inscribed in the bones themselves argues against the arms being vestigial. They were active, they were robust, and they were, for their size, astonishingly mighty. This transforms our central question. It's no longer just, why were its arms so small? It's now the far more tantalizing, what could a 9-ton predator possibly do with 2 short, super strong arms? The hunt for an answer was on. So if these arms were indeed powerful tools, what was their job? One of the most dramatic theories casts them in the role of close-quarters combat weapons. Imagine the scene. The Tyrannosaurus has just used its cataclysmic bite to bring down a multi-ton herbivore, perhaps a struggling Triceratops. The battle isn't over. A wounded animal of that size is still incredibly dangerous. In this scenario, the T-Rex could have leaned down, planting its massive chest against its victim's side to pin it. Then those surprisingly strong arms would come into play. Each hand was armed with 2 large crescent-shaped claws, sharp as meat hooks. With the full force of its powerful muscles, the Tyrannosaur could have raked these claws across the soft underbelly of its prey, creating deep, debilitating wounds. They would have functioned not as primary weapons for the hunt, but as gruesome tools for the final messy work of dispatching a victim. The arms were too short for boxing, but perfect for a brutal, close-in clinch. Another, perhaps less cinematic but equally plausible idea focuses on a much more mundane problem: simply getting up. A 9-ton animal lying on the ground is in a vulnerable position. Rising from a resting posture would require a colossal amount of energy. Some scientists have proposed that the arms acted as a crucial stabilizing and lifting mechanism. Think of it as a prehistoric push-up. The T-Rex could have planted its clawed hands firmly on the ground, and using that incredible bicep strength, pushed its massive torso upward. This initial lift would have helped it shift its center of gravity, allowing its gigantic leg muscles to take over and hoist the rest of its body to a standing position. In this light, the arms weren't for attacking others, but for the fundamental act of self-preservation and mobility. A tyrant that has fallen and can't get up is no tyrant at all. Finally, we have a theory that moves away from violence and mechanics into the realm of behavior. Perhaps the arms served a more intimate purpose, holding on during mating. The logistics of 2 9-ton predators procreating are, to put it mildly, complex. The male would have needed some way to securely grip the female to maintain balance and position. Those strong arms, with their sharp, grasping claws, may have been the perfect tools for the job, allowing him to clutch her shoulders or back without slipping. It's a compelling idea because it provides a powerful evolutionary reason to retain such muscular arms. They would have been directly linked to the animal's ability to reproduce and pass on its genes. From brutal slasher to personal mobility aid to a lover's embrace, The possible functions show just how complex and mysterious this incredible animal remains. While these theories about the adult Tyrannosaurus are compelling, some of the most insightful clues to the puzzle of its arms might not come from the 9-ton titans themselves, but from their younger, smaller selves. A T-Rex didn't hatch from its egg as a miniature bone crusher. It underwent one of the most dramatic transformations in the animal kingdom. A juvenile T-Rex was a completely different creature from its parents. It was lanky, almost graceful, with long legs built for speed and agility. Its skull was narrower, less robust, and its teeth were more like blades than spikes, better suited for slicing flesh than pulverizing bone. For the first decade of its life, it was not an apex predator, but a mid-level hunter, occupying a totally different ecological niche. It was likely pursuing faster, smaller prey, agile ornithomimids, small ornithopods, or the young of other dinosaurs. In this context, the arms suddenly seem far more sensible. For a nimble hunter that can't yet rely on a single, cataclysmic bite, grasping forelimbs are an essential part of the toolkit. You can picture it clearly. A young tyrannosaur, no bigger than a horse, chasing down its prey and using those proportionately longer clawed arms to snatch and pin the struggling victim. The arms would have been vital for holding its meal steady while its less powerful jaws went to work. They were the tools of an active, energetic predator, crucial for its survival during its vulnerable early years. For a young T-Rex, the arms were not an afterthought. They were a key to its success. But then, the teenager years hit. And for a Tyrannosaurus, this period brought on a growth spurt of epic proportions. As it aged, its body plan shifted dramatically. The skull deepened and widened, the muscles of the jaw expanded to produce that legendary bite force, and the teeth grew thicker. The animal was trading its speed for overwhelming power, graduating from a fleet-footed hunter to a walking fortress. During this transformation, the head became the all-encompassing weapon, and the role of the arms diminished. They simply stopped keeping pace with the explosive growth of the rest of the body, becoming smaller and smaller in proportion. So perhaps the arms of an adult are a holdover, not from a distant ancestor, but from its own youth, a relic of a past life. They remained powerful, but their primary job was done. So where does this leave us in the strange case of the tyrant's tiny arms? We are left not with a single, simple answer, but with a rich tapestry of compelling possibilities. Were they vestigial relics, close combat slashers, tools for rising from the ground, intimate claspers for mating, or essential weapons for a bygone youth? The truth is likely not found in choosing one theory over another, but in combining them. Science, after all, is rarely about a single eureka moment, but about the slow, careful weaving of multiple lines of evidence. The most elegant solution may be that the arms were a multi-purpose tool whose primary function changed throughout the dinosaur's life. Crucial for hunting in its youth, they became secondary assets in adulthood, less important perhaps, but still far from useless, retaining their strength for the occasional demands of rising, fighting, or procreating. This single, baffling feature has forced us to see Tyrannosaurus Rex not as a static movie monster, but as a dynamic, living animal that grew and changed dramatically over its lifetime. The arms are a constant reminder that for all we have learned, these creatures still hold deep mysteries. They challenge our assumptions and invite us to look closer, to question everything we think we know. It is this very mystery that has cemented the Tyrant King's place in our collective imagination. Its silhouette is arguably the most famous in the history of life on Earth. a perfect blend of terrifying power and a slightly comical, almost endearing physical quirk. It is a testament to an animal so perfectly and powerfully built in some ways, yet so perplexing in others. The humid Cretaceous air has long since cooled, and the ground where this giant once trod is now buried beneath millions of years of rock and dust. Our journey back in time must come to an end, returning us to a world that this incredible animal could never have imagined. Yet the story is not truly over. Its bones, turned to stone, remain with us, a silent, powerful testament to a lost world of unimaginable scale and grandeur. They are a tangible link to a planet that was, and a permanent invitation to our own curiosity. Every fossil unearthed is a new chapter in an ancient story, reminding us that the ground beneath our feet is a library of time, and its greatest tales are still waiting to be read. The legacy of the Tyrant Lizard King is not just in its fearsome reputation, but in the enduring sense of wonder it still inspires in us all.